Welcome into Sports Memo's NHL betting podcast with our NHL handicapper, Alex B. Smith. Alex, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Drew, for having me on. It's love listening to the podcast, so it's nice to be on and talk with everybody and break down some hockey with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to get your opinion. We got a big board today. I guess only 3 games tomorrow. And guys, if you're listening to this, it is Tuesday, January 8th. That means it's $2 Tuesday. So check out sportsmemo.com. We got a selected play up and available for just $2. Great day to hop on board. Alex, wanted to start off. We're going to break down four or five games here on the NHL. Card, but first, talking to mostly American bettors, Canadian bettors, really all over the globe here. But what would you say to kind of somebody beginning to bet NHL of things you've had success in, and maybe some things to kind of stay away when betting the NHL betting board?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of new to betting the sport of hockey, especially with obviously the emergence of the Vegas Golden Knights. So a lot of people in that part of the country taking notice. And like I said, just seeing the numbers, especially now with the end of college football and everything, there's definitely money to be made betting the NHL. And some of the things you want to look at is obviously it's a money line sport like baseball, so you get in a little different feel as opposed to not betting point spreads. You got to look at totals as well, and there's been a shift in totals over the years. For those who have been betting long-term, notice that the 5 and 5.5 numbers that we've seen as kind of standard flat total numbers have been around 6.5 in the last couple of years. That's an increase in offensive production. We've seen the NHL make some rule changes as far as goaltender equipment. Their pads are a bit smaller, so they can't cover as much net space. And we've seen just a faster, cleaner hockey game over the last 2-3 years, and that's increased the amount of scoring. So that's definitely something to look at now with these 5.5 and 6 totals. You're going to see high juice to the over. Something that I've pinpointed personally over the last year and have done very well betting over the last year and a half is first period totals. So obviously hockey broken down in the first, second, and third periods. The first 20 minutes of play is often crucial down the rest of the stretch, because you see teams, let's say if it's a team on a 4 or 5 game road trip, they might come out a little sluggish in the beginning of that game, or they might have a lot of energy in the beginning of the game and then it tapers off late. So you're looking at different travel schedules and matching up with some of those first period numbers where we see teams tend to score goals early, and that's been the huge trend as of now. We've seen a lot of first period scoring, and the total that has been basically books have been permanently setting it at 1.5 for ages. We're seeing the juice on the over grow exponentially over the last 2-3 months because these teams are just getting out to such hot starts.
Interesting. Okay, so you mostly concentrating then on totals, or do you also bet sides?
I bet sides, and when I'm looking at sides, I'm trying to look for mostly underdog value. But this season it has mostly been focusing on totals with a direct emphasis on the first period.
And when you talk about first period betting, I mean, is that an efficient market? I mean, with the Heritages, the Bet Onlines, even some of these, local bookie, as far as, them having their own websites, would most of these have first period NHL totals up?
Yes, the numbers are posted up. They're widely available, but like I said, because of we've seen such an increase in overs with these totals. So now, you have to check with your local shop as far as limits go. I'm sure they're capping some of these limits now a little bit, but before it was pretty much a widely available and open market that just hadn't been tapped into until recently.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I know some of the offshores, they put the limits at like 500. Some of them even put it down to 250. So you know what that means. They don't want to take too much money.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm pretty sure that's got to be the case. Now, I'm hoping to talk with a few, Vegas bookmakers and a couple offshore connects as well to see what exactly has been because, like I said, this number it's 1.5. I mean, I have not seen a 2 anywhere available, even as an alternate line. So I'm curious to see what is it going to take for some of these books to maybe start moving that number to 2, which would actually give us players a bit of value, because now we can kind of we have to do a little bit more homework, see, okay, well, have there been 2 or 3 or 4 goals scored in this period? But like I said, because we're getting kind of, almost priced out, even with some of the incredible runs, and we'll talk about it during the show, some of the incredible runs that a couple teams have been on.
Yeah, well, let's get to it. We got a 7:05 puck drop here, 49.50, the rotation number on the SBR odds screen. We got New Jersey at Buffalo, 5.5 the total here, Alex, and it looks like minus 110 to minus 120. That's the Buffalo Sabres favorite at home.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup here with New Jersey and Buffalo, the two teams that are going in opposite directions. And if you told me at the beginning of this season that it was the New Jersey Devils that would be near last place in the Metropolitan Division, and the Buffalo Sabres right now, if the season were to end, would actually contend for a playoff spot, I would have told you that you're absolutely crazy. This is a Devils team that looked really good, made the postseason last year. Have the reigning MVP in Taylor Hall, a guy who has been out the last week or so with a lower body injury, but they have a ton of talent. Nico Hischier, another kid, a guy from Switzerland who has great scoring touch. But New Jersey's issue has been between the pipes and goaltending. Corey Schneider, their number one starter, has been dealing with injuries off and on this year. So it's been Keith Kincaid and a rookie by the name of Mackenzie Blackwood that have been kind of sharing the load in net recently. And it's Kincaid that gets the start here, but we've seen New Jersey give up a ton of goals in bunches here. Just looking back at some of the last games, they gave up 3 goals to Vegas, 1-3-2 against Arizona, but they were dominated up and down the ice for most of that contest. Gave up 5 goals to a Dallas team that has been slow and struggling to score as well. New Jersey's won 4 of their last 6, but the key thing that I've just mentioned, they played in Vegas in their last game. This is a trend we've seen, obviously, with the success of the Golden Knights. They've done well against teams. We've seen teams struggle as they leave Las Vegas and go to wherever their next destination is. Teams playing against a team that just came back from Vegas, 5-1 this season, and over the last 2 years, 13-2. So looking at that strong of a trend, you're talking about something almost hitting at 87%. I would lean to play with Buffalo here. Buffalo's had some injury issues as well. We've seen them play without their former number one draft pick, Jack Eichel. He's been downgraded to doubtful for this game, but Sam Reinhart, another key forward, he is questionable for this game, could possibly be back in the lineup. That would be a huge boost for this Buffalo team who has lost 4 of their last 5, and we've seen them score 1 goal or fewer in the last 3 of their last 5 games. They need some help offensively. New Jersey is just a team that I think might be what cures what ails them a little bit because, like I said, they've been struggling a lot on defense. So I look at Buffalo here as a short favorite. You say find it around $1.15 to $1.20.
And Alex, you brought up a stat there. Was that 5-1 the team when leaving Vegas? As far as 5 wins, 1 loss.
5 wins, 1 loss for the team fading the team that leaves Vegas, and it's 13-2. Yeah, 13-2. So yeah, that's against the team that previously played in Vegas night or 2 nights before.
Man, that's a good stat. And what do you think? It's because the team goes out after the game and then is hungover the next day playing an NHL?
You know, it's funny. I mean, that could possibly be it, but I think also too is that, and I think it's even more so last year, is that you look at the West Coast, the travel was pretty simple. It was, you play in the Bay Area of San Jose, and then you either go Anaheim, LA, or LA, Anaheim. Now adding that extra stop. These are creatures of habit, NHL players. They're very superstitious, and they've got their routines now pat. So adding a whole new city, and we're going to see this in a couple of years now with Seattle as well, adding a new city, and especially in a place where we're talking about quite a bit of travel now. New Jersey team's got to go from, McCarran Airport all the way to Newark. That extra travel makes a difference too. So I think it's got to, obviously, yes, they're enjoying their time and getting into some warm weather, but I also think that just the travel disruptancy we've seen in the last couple of years has helped to that as well.
Great stat, man, and that's happening tonight in this game for Buffalo, huh?
Yeah. So Buffalo at home, like I said, New Jersey with this travel spot, and this is the end of a 4-game road trip as well for the Devils too. So, like I said, we tend to see fatigue in trips lasting 4 more games anyway. So, Sabres are definitely worth looking at tonight at minus $1.15.
Good stuff, Alex. We got 51-52 up next. Philadelphia at Washington. Total of 6. Looks like a big favorite here with the Capitals laying 200 at home. Yeah,
and this is an interesting thing because this just broke on overnight. We had a Flyers team that played last night and lost 3-0 to St. Louis, and you had 2 rookie goalies. Jordan Bennington was the goalie for St. Louis. He got his first career win. He made 25 saves in the shutout. And Philadelphia's TV crew, if you go on Twitter, you can find this. They were caught still on air talking in between the periods and saying that, there's a couple players just not putting up enough effort. Chuck Fletcher, the new GM's got to make some moves here. Things aren't working out. And we've seen this Philly team, they've lost 8 in a row. And now having this issue of the commentators kind of now, unintentionally publicly airing out their grievances with what the Flyers are doing and what Flyers general management and staff are doing right now, we could see things kind of turn around here in this game tonight against Washington, a division rival of theirs. It reminds me of what happened with, for those who may not be familiar, the Ottawa Senators were on a decline, and they were on a road trip out in Arizona. There was an Uber driver who actually recorded some of the footage of the players talking about how they said our penalty killing is horrible. These coaches need to go. We feel bad for our goaltender. Yeah, and that was a big thing. And we saw Ottawa kind of turn things around defensively for a brief moment. Obviously, it didn't last because, like the guys mentioned, their team is just poor defensively. So maybe with Philadelphia, this could spark a little bit of something here. But even with that being said, this is a Washington team that's an absolute juggernaut. These are the defending Stanley Cup champions, and they're playing like it now. They had a little bit of a slow start, a little bit of a cup hangover, but we've seen them just been absolutely dominant as of late. 6-3-1 their last 10 games. They're also 8-4 versus division opponents this year. The one thing I would be looking at in this spot would definitely be the over here. Like I said, Philadelphia has run through 7 goaltenders this year. They've got their future goalie, brought up now, Carter Hart, a 20-year-old guy who's a high draft pick, guy who's more than likely going to be the goaltender down the road, but they're throwing him in the fire now. Mike McKenna, a longtime AHL veteran, just kind of bounced around between different franchises. He's also backing him up there because they've just had tons of injuries. This is a Washington team that I think will be able to capitalize on either goaltender that starts for Philadelphia now. We should see them score goals in bunches. So that laying that six, laying only $1.05 for 6 goals here, that's a big.
Alex, we got game number 55-56 up next. Columbus at Tampa Bay, 6.5 the total. Another big favorite here with the Lightning laying 185 at home.
Well, earlier, as I mentioned, I was talking about the emphasis that I've made on first period totals this season. And one of the reasons why it's interesting to see where the prices have gone in first period totals, you can trace it back to both of these clubs. The Columbus Blue Jackets started the year, they were on a 13-2 run to the over in the first period. They were just getting off to a ridiculously hot start. They had some injuries on their blue line with the defense, and we saw a lot of high-scoring starts to their games, be it where they were leading or trailing. That trend has now bounced to a couple other clubs, and most notably right now the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a team, they are playing some of the best hockey in the league right now. They're 32-8-2 on the year, but we've seen them score early and often, and they've gone over in the first period 17 straight games and 20 of their last 21 games. So where 2 months ago we were getting the over 1.5, maybe only laying $1.25, $1.30. We've seen this number. It opened this morning. I played it at minus $1.51. We've seen this jump now. I'm looking across the board, minus $1.65, $1.70. I saw one spot blip at 182. And like I said, they're refusing to move the number. They're just moving the price. But even with that being said, you're looking at a Tampa Bay team, like I said, 17 games in a row where there's been at least 2 or more goals between both teams in the first period. For Columbus, 6 of the last 7 games have gone over in the first period. So we're also talking about a Tampa team that is coming off of that West Coast road trip, as I mentioned. They had an 8-game win streak going until it was snapped in a 5-2 loss against San Jose. What was interesting about that Sharks game, this was on Saturday, they, being the Lightning, hit 3 goalposts in about the span of maybe the first 5 minutes. They must have drawn about 5 or 6 goalposts throughout the game. If any of those bounce in, that 5-2 score is probably a 7-5 or 8-5 final. So they're getting some really good looks on shots, and they just had a bad luck night, and that's what cost them their win streak. Now they come home. It takes some teams a while to get back off of a long road trip. Talking about a long flight from San Jose to Tampa Bay. You got a Columbus team that's been winning 7 of their last 9 games overall. They're playing some decent hockey, and like I said, they've been scoring as well as related to that 6-1 trend of the over last 7. We're getting a great price here at plus 160 with Columbus. This is a team that can hang around. They skate just as fast, not faster than Tampa Bay, but they can keep pace. I think we might have a chance to find a live dog here, get an upset with the Blue Jackets catching a possible tired Lightning team at home. But the play still, even with the high juice, I would definitely look at that first period over 1.5 goals tonight.
Guys, remember, it's $2 Tuesday at sportsmemo.com. Designated play for just $2. Great day to jump on board. We're talking with Alex B. Smith, Sports Memo handicapper, NHL focus. He's 20-9, his last 29 NHL plays. So heating up on the ice, Alex. Keep up the great work. And we got a special coupon code for this podcast. If you're checking out his 30-day all-access hockey pass. It's normally $299. We're going to take $200 off today and tomorrow if you use the coupon code NHL podcast at checkout for his 30-day all hockey pass at sportsmemo.com. Alex obviously knows this stuff and on a 20-9 hockey run now. So ride the hot handicapper here. Alex, let's give the listeners a late night game here on the West Coast, talking about Vegas here. So not a degenerate special of sorts, but just a get back game if people need it. New York Rangers at the Vegas Knights. We got a total of 6 minus 275. Huge favorite here. Vegas is in Sin City.
Yeah, it's an absolutely insane price. I mean, I would never advocate laying 275 in a hockey game, but there's no way I'm going to be looking at the other side of here with the plus money with the New York Rangers. And it's simply because they've been playing some absolute horrid hockey. Let's look at just their last 3 games. They've given up 5 goals to an Arizona team that has no consistent offense and they actually just lost one of their top offensive guys, Nick Schmaltz, a guy who came over from the Chicago Blackhawks. He's been a year with a knee injury, weaker offensively. They allowed 6 goals the game before that to Colorado Avalanche, another team that has kind of struggled to find some consistency in their offense. They've got a couple of good players, but for the most part, a lot of guys that just can't find the back of the net often. And then they gave up 7 goals against the Pittsburgh Penguins team. Now, that's fair. That's a really good offense. We're talking about guys like Sidney Crosby, Phil Kessel, Evgeny Malkin. They could put up 7 against anybody in the league. But that being said, for those to be your last 3 games out, we've seen no changes whatsoever in this Ranger defense, and now they're going to take on a Vegas Golden Knights team that has won 6 in a row, and they have finally found their scoring touch. They were struggling to score early in the season, but they're getting things rolling. They're looking just like they did last season right now. Alexander Georgiev is the backup goaltender for the New York Rangers. He's going to get the start tonight here. We've seen him struggle as of late. He has lost his last 4 starts. He gave up the 6 goals, as I mentioned, that game against Colorado. We saw him also give up 4 goals and make a ton of big saves, but still end up losing the game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a guy who just doesn't have a lot of defensive help in front of him as far as the guys on the blue line. I think Vegas, they have the speed and skill and talent to take advantage of that. I would be looking at this first period over. I also would be looking at this full game going over the total as well. I think we're going to see Vegas keep their pace and momentum going. I think we're going to see them get a lot of goals here tonight.
All right, good stuff, Alex. And guys, remember, it's $2 Tuesday, and the coupon code NHL Podcast for Alex B. Smith's next 30 days, 30-day all-access pass for $200 off. It's just $99. You get the next 30 days of his hockey picks. He's on a 20-9 run, and $200 off with the coupon code NHL Podcast at checkout for his 30-day all-access pass. That's NHL Podcast at checkout. Alex, so what, the free bet for the listeners, it was in the Columbus game, right? Yeah. Blue Jackets and Lightning, like I said, the price has gone up and up, but this is still, teams are going to... Alex, well, great stuff. Good luck with all of your bets out there, and we'll be back tomorrow talking a little soccer there, and we'll be back tomorrow, NBA, college basketball, and NFL divisional round all to come, and NFL. Best of luck with your bets, guys.